Thank you for watching the Twitter Jabs with me, Sandra Cope, and the topic of discussion this morning is the taxing of social media influencers. Now in studio, I actually have a social media influencer with me, and this gentleman is the marketing manager of Tugule, and he's also a content creator and a brand influencer, Mr. Piper Faisal. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for coming. I have so many questions.
I know it's all people have just been asking about, and they're like, oh, you guys have just been making free money. Now
Yes.
the tax money is coming. So when I got the call yesterday, I said, oh, finally, it's time to put
Come
something
and give
in.
some clarity
Exactly,
to
yeah.
us. I would like to ask you, because many people think social media influencers are slay queens and slay kings. What is a social media influencer and what do they do?
Okay, well, first of all, I'd have to define who an influencer is.
Yes.
As just an influencer. So
Yes.
let me just put it out there for everyone watching. Anyone can be an influencer. Even you can be an influencer. Yeah. So this is someone who has the power to influence the people that are watching them or the people that follow them, maybe due to the knowledge they have of a certain topic, or due to their character, or
Yes.
just likable people. You get. So
Yes.
when it comes to social media, a social media influencer is someone who can influence their following into buying into something new.
Yes,
Yeah,
their
because
ideologies.
exactly, because they trust this person, they look at them as an idol, they look at them as a role model. Yeah. So let's say I come out today and I tell people, you know what? Today we are all drinking milk tea. If you are a really good social media influencer,
You can make people drink
You
tea.
can actually make people drink milk tea that day. Yeah. And it's not about being lavish, because I've seen influencers in the medical field. I've seen influencers in the airline field. I mean, every field has influencers, and it's not all about being lavish or any of that thing. I think the only disconnect is people think it's all about being a slay queen or a slay king because those are the influencers they follow. Those are the people that influence
So it depends
them.
where your interest lies. That's what you're saying.
Exactly. I'll give an example. Dr. Kasenene is
Yes.
he's an influencer in the medical field.
Yes.
If he comes today and tells you people, oh guys, by the way, eating
Eat
this kind of
this,
meat
do
is
that.
not good, people are gonna be like, hey, you know what? If you're in the bar and you eat it, like, didn't you see what Dr. Kasenene said? You're not supposed
Yes.
to, you know. And he's not lavish in any way. I don't even think he has an Instagram account, but he is a social media influencer in that field.
So people take what they consider influencers as friends, so to speak, because they interact with them on social media. And
Yeah.
the
No.
nature of social media being instantaneous,
Yeah.
then there's a lot of engagement with this person. So they feel really close to this person. Therefore, what this person says, they take as gospel truth.
Exactly, they feel connected. Yeah, because I look up to you and I look at all your posts. I know what you dress. I know what time
you
you
ate for
wake up.
breakfast.
Exactly, they kind of form that fake association. Let me call it fake association, because what you have to understand is, to us influencers, sometimes it's just a job.
Yes.
Yeah? And when you get out there and then you meet these people in real life and they're like, oh my God, Piper, how are you? And you're like, okay, you just have to play along. you have to play along with it and be nice. You can't just be pushing people away. But it's a job. It's not all about being a slay queen or a slay king. Basically, maybe because most of the people look up to, you know, fashion icons and celebrities, they feel like those are the only influencers that are there, but that's not the thing. Elon Musk is an influencer. If he tweeted anything about cryptocurrency, the market shakes.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's an influencer right there.
True,
Nothing lavish about him, nothing slay king-ish about him, but it's just a job.
So you're a brand influencer as well.
Yeah.
What are some of the gigs that you've done for brands, influencing their brands?
Okay, well, I started influencing in, I think 2016. 2016, that's when I got on the bandwagon. And I have to say some of the most exciting gigs I've done, one is, it has to be Airtel. Yeah, because when you're working online, you need data. You need data every day, and the fact that you're a content creator, you're making videos here, making photos there, so you need huge amounts of data. So me relating myself with Airtel was one of the best things that happened to my social media life, because the last time I paid for data must have been in I think 2018.
Wow.
2018. That's the last time I paid for data. After that, it's just I have to use the service because I am influencing this exact brand. So I have to get back to them about, you know, your speeds are nowadays, maybe we need this, maybe we need that. So that's definitely one of my best gigs. The second one has to be the Coca-Cola gig, the World Cup trophy gig. So we got approached, I don't remember when, but the last World Cup, we got approached and they told us, hey, we have a competition, and if you win, we're going to take, let's say, 4 influencers to South Africa, to Cape Town, to get the World Cup trophy. So, I mean, I had influenced. By that time, I'd done so many gigs, but that blew me out of, it just blew me out of my sleep.
That was like your icebreaker
exactly.
into this new world.
And I had to tell my parents that, you know what, you guys were laughing that I'm just on, you know, like how people think influencers are. I'm just on social media telling people lies. I'm now going to Cape Town. And they couldn't believe it. So that's definitely one of those up there. And I think also I've had a deal with a car company. And they gave me a car, a brand new car for like a week, to just drive around and tell them my experience, tweet about the experience, maybe ferry my friends to Ginger or something like that.
Yes.
That was amazing because I think in my entire clan, as the first person to ever drive a brand new car with, you know, like everything has Buveras. That's amazing. So those are the three gigs I really hold at heart. And those are the 3 clients I really love. I could do anything.
Well, it's not all about glitz and glamour. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, because if you're trying to push these brands, you have to understand these brands. It's like how Rolls-Royce, it doesn't sell a car, it sells luxury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, Coca-Cola sells, you know, sells happiness. So you have to, you are this brand, you're like the brand ambassador, so to speak. Yes, and you have to make this following feel exactly what the entities want, you know, their following to feel. So what goes behind the scenes, the planning and everything? It's not all glitz and glamour, is it?
No, it's not. In the beginning, it's easy because I mean, you just have a big following and people are approaching you about gigs, and you're just taking on everyone. Oh, give me your poster, I put it up. Give me your thing, I put it up. But the more you grow into the role, the more you feel that responsibility to give more. I mean, we have clients who are very, very, let's say, they're very, very particular about the things they want. Yeah, they call you, they want you to work for them, but they want you to, let's say, speak a certain way, or act a certain way, or dress a certain way. And sometimes it's not easy. I remember the first time I got a movie role, just because of my social media, because they wanted me to influence the series. So they had to put me in the series. And then they told me, you know, you're going to be a con man. And I say to myself, what? My whole life I've never been a con man. So you have to fall
into character.
Yes, I had to get out there and talk to con men. And talk to con men, see the lies they tell, see the way they dress. I had to buy a suit. I had to change the way I speak. I had to change my hair. Well, I liked the hair, so I kept it. But there are certain processes you really have to undergo for some particular clients. I mean, big paying clients are going to ask you to do exactly what they want. You know, sometimes they'll tell you, we need you to leave the city. We need you to go to like Hoima and tweet about this experience we have in this specific area. And you have to go, whether you have a family or not, or you have a real job or not, that's the gig. So you actually have to up and go.
Well, let's talk about the gig, moving back to taxes.
Right.
You're already being taxed 6% of withholding tax from the entities that you have been working with, yes?
Yeah.
So this upcoming financial year, because people were already on social media ranting that you're going to be taxed, you are not yet being taxed as per URA for social media influencing until this is passed through Parliament and decided for the next financial year, 2022-2023. But now, if this comes to pass, doesn't it mean that then you will have to charge more? Your charges will go higher because you're going to have the withholding tax, and then you're going to have this other tax slapped on you as social media influencers.
I think, well, you know, it's funny how when people are implementing new taxes, they don't even talk to the people in these fields. But then again, I had a conversation with one of my friends and they said, you know what, this might just be sensational news because we are now living in a world where people just want to push sensational news. Yeah, URA might not have actually said they're going to tax social media influencers. They probably said we're going to tax the digital economy.
Yes.
Yeah, but just because a reporter was there and he runs an online blog, they're like, you know what? Are you also going to tax social media influencers? The guy's like, we don't know, but if they're in the digital
And
economy, probably, yeah. And then it just goes on like that. So we might be missing the point, and it's actually not influencers that are going to tax. But if it is influencers that are going to tax, they are literally just going to increase government expenditure. Because as I speak right now, the biggest clients in the influencing market are government parastatals. They have the money, they have the, and it's always ready, it's there. So if you're going to tax influencers, you are literally going to tell them to ask government parastatals to give them more money. And what happens? You're literally going to increase government expenditure, thinking you are actually making revenue.
So money will be hemorrhaging out instead of coming in.
That is all I see. I mean, there are brands that and it's always funny for when my fellow influencers come to me and they're like, you know what, I got a gig. They say they give me 500,000, but then it's been decreasing. You know, like when they give me my receipt, there's withholding tax. What's that? And I'm like, oh, they have to declare.
Yes, they have to declare.
They have to declare this. And I'll also talk about media agencies or digital media agencies when they're onboarding influencers. The media budgets are taxed.
Yes.
That's a VAT tax.
Yes.
Yeah. So influencers are actually already paying tax. Whether these digital agencies have been declaring the tax to URA or not, I really don't know. Yeah. But for URA to come out and say we're going to tax social media influencers because we were not taxing them before, it just brings the question of, so these people who have been taking out withholding tax, were they actually declaring
have they been putting it?
Exactly.
So because it's not on the social media influencers?
It definitely isn't. I mean, and look at the market. It's we're about the number of social media users.
Are
in
you
Uganda,
registered? Social media influencers, are you registered?
There's nothing like a registration. There's nothing like an organization. There's nothing like that. And there are about 4.6 million social media influencers in Uganda. Yeah, that's about 7% of the entire population. But I can count the number of influencers in this country. Yeah, like known influencers who actually do it as just a gig. That's about 100. So URA has a case where it's going to actually, if it is real and it's not just sensational news, they have a case where they're going to spend more money enforcing this than the money they're going to get out.
And it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. I mean, the gig I got this week was worth what? 50,000. So how is URA going to get any real money from that? If they send a tax officer after me, they have to pay this guy, they have to feed him, and then what? I'm going to give them 1,000 shillings after spending about 100,000. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And even countries that have tried to implement the influencer social media tax have really failed. I'll give you an example of Kenya in 2021. The same thing happened. They came out, they're like, you know what? We're now going to tax influencers. And mind you, Kenya's social media users are about 20% of the population, so they are more.
There are many.
So ideally, there are actually more influencers in Kenya than in Uganda. So when the Kenyans asked their revenue authority, how are you guys going to do it? The revenue authority said they'd go on their Instagram pages and find out the influencers who are living lavish.
But does that make sense? You could just be out having a good time.
Exactly.
You're not pushing any brand.
Exactly. It did not make sense.
Yeah, and you're not getting paid for it.
It did not make sense, but the government wanted to make a stance. And they did pass the bill, they did pass the law. But yesterday when I got this call, I called my influencers in Kenya and asked them, guys, after this law being passed, has anything happened? Are you guys paying tax? Have people come after you? And they're like, no. I guess they kind of sort of figured it out. Yeah, and I mean, it's self-explanatory if OTT failed. Because OTT, every influencer did pay OTT. We did not even have time for VPN. Because you put VPN...
There's so much riding on your work, content creation.
Exactly.
You have to be online.
You have to be online. No way. So in the beginning, I was all for that. You know, yes, let's resist OTT, let's resist OTT. Then my Facebook page got blocked because of VPN. I couldn't pay ads anymore. So I said, you know what, this is my this is my job. Let me just pay the tax and then go on from there.
Yes.
So a year or two later, I don't know how long it took government to go back and then say, you know what, this tax has failed. Let's just put a 12% tax on internet.
Yes.
And that's better because there are more internet users than people using social media. It just doesn't make sense taxing influencers any one bit. That's why, to a person like me who knows they must have done due diligence. So I still feel like this is just sensational news at the end of the day.
I guess we'll see what it plays out. But what would be your message to the concerned parties in Parliament regarding this for the next financial year, 2022-2023, regarding particularly social media influencers? If they were to go on with this, if it turns out to be not sensational news, what would you ask them to consider for you as social media influencers?
I think, anyway, a while back we met Mr. Jacob Olanya. This is before he became the speaker. And I wish him a quick recovery. Yes. But anyway, this is before he became a speaker. And one of the things we told him was we needed a digital think tank, an independent digital think tank, just to think for the economy digitally, because that's where we're going. You know, our neighbors, Kenya, look at the people they're getting now. Mark Zuckerberg visited that country.
Yes.
Right now, the Middle East is investing. They're going to put up an innovation hub in Kenya. Why? Because of their digital economy. And why is their digital economy doing very well? Because it's not heavily taxed. You know, they let it ride solo. People are free to create content. Data is affordable.
Let it flourish.
Exactly. Let it flourish and you'll get investments. So we advised them and we said it would be amazing if we had a digital think tank because they're going to pass OTT. This was actually before they passed OTT.
Okay.
Yeah. So we say they're going to pass OTT, but this is not going to work. They passed it and it didn't work. This is something a think tank could have figured out.
Yes.
Something like taxing social media influencers. The think tank could have figured out, this is impossible. Other than taxing digital influencers, why don't we just tax the digital economy? Because governments like France are doing it. France gets taxed from Facebook. Facebook taxes people in France for using Facebook. And after that, it remits that money back to the French government, sorry. So you'd rather tax the digital economy, tax Facebook, tax Twitter, tax all these other platforms, tax YouTube.
Everyone.
Yeah,
but isn't that a little bit unfair?
But it's happening it is happening in developed countries. Because they also figured it out. Anyone can be an influencer as long as you have knowledge about the topic and people believe in you. Boom, you're an influencer. It's not a profession as say, it's a service. Yeah.
Yes.
Because you don't go to school to become an influencer. You don't get a degree to become an influencer. There's no like a doctor's organization or an engineers association, mechanical engineers association. There's nothing like that. Yeah, even your mom can become an influencer if she just wakes up and she's like, you know what, let me set up an Instagram account and show people how to wear chikoi.
Yes.
Let me show people how to wear gomeses. She's definitely going to become an influencer, and if she decides to sell the gomeses, people will believe in her because she knows how to wear it. She knows how to wear chikoi and all that. So back to what I was suggesting, a digital think tank would be amazing because we have a case where most of the people in parliament are not so averse with the digital world.
Yes.
Yeah? We have cases where we hear people in parliament talking about, we are going to make Wi-Fi jackets. And I look at that,
there's a digital divide, clearly.
A Wi-Fi jacket, like, are you kidding me? Yeah. So there's that digital disconnect. Yeah. And I feel like if parliament actually had a digital think tank of people who are averse with digital knowledge, they would navigate all these areas for them. Don't tax social media influencers. If you want to actually make viable money, tax the digital economy. Go to YouTube and tell them you have Ugandans you're paying in what? You have people you're paying in Uganda to make content on YouTube. We also want some of that money. And then YouTube will decide whether they are making enough money to actually remit some money back to the government or not. Go to Facebook and tell them, I don't know if we can still go to Facebook because it's blocked. But go to Twitter and tell them, hey, you guys, we have very many Ugandans now setting up Twitter spaces and we need some money from that. Is there a way you can do it? And then Twitter will sit down with the government and say, you know what, let's do it like this and this and that. But taxing influencers, to me, I still feel like it's sensational news.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, that is definitely food for thought for the concerned parties out there, and also representation of social media influencers out there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. That was Mr. Piper Faisal, a social media influencer, and he has given us his 2 cents on what he thinks about this new looming imposition of the social media influencers tax for the next financial year. Well, that was all we had for you on Twitter Jabs 2 here with me, Sandra Cole. But don't go anywhere, because next on is Wellness, still with me, Sandra Cole. Stay at sea.